Hey, welcome back. I was talking to the Bone Crusher, fellow Urban Express enthusiast, as well as general enthusiast of mopeds and nopeds and motorized bikes. And he's like, when's the next video, man? So I said Thursday morning. And I got the sense that maybe, well, Thursday's video, I don't know when this one's going to even come out. I'm trying to get it out before Thursday, but we'll see. I don't know if a Thursday's video is going to be very exciting or not. Not that this one will be, right? Maybe this will be mildly exciting. Who knows? But I thought I'd give you a quick update on a few things because, in addition to the Bone Crusher's interest, others have asked me questions, and I try to answer as many questions as I can, and sometimes I can't do it all, but I'll do my best. Anyhow, this is apparently some people weren't paying attention, and you know who you are. This is the original engine on the blue and silver Urban Express, my latest acquisition. And what I had indicated in a previous video, I know I did, was that I was going to take my spare Urban Express engine, do a small repair to it, and put it on the blue and silver Urban Express frame while I went through and fixed this engine you're looking at now. So hopefully I've made that clear what has happened recently. So if you weren't paying attention, the problem with this engine is the crankshaft bearings were both bad, and the big end bearing on the crank was most likely bad as well. So I bought a new crank from Treatland with the bearings and the seals, and I installed it on here on this engine. I took it all apart, disassembled it, and put the crank in and the bearings and so on and so forth. Cleaned it up pretty darn good. It's got a new piston and rings. I put on cylinder studs instead of the cylinder bolts that come stock with these Honda engines. And so I prefer the studs. And then I honed the cylinder and just cleaned it up some because there was a lot of cow dung and dried cow manure on the cylinder and the cylinder head. And went with the, let's get another shot here. Use the oil pump as a block off. Sometimes I get those oil pump block off plates, but I just cleaned up the oil pump and put that back on, and took the electric start and the tooth flywheel off of this one and put it on the other engine, which we'll get to in a moment. I should mention that this engine has experienced serious weight reduction in that I removed a ton of dirt from it and also a ton of belt dust. And actually, if you watched, you may have missed this too if you weren't paying attention. I was thinking of taking, the case halves to the car wash and power washing them out. But then I just got the bright idea I've got a can of brake clean, and that really did a great job cleaning out all the belt dust and cleaning off the case halves to get it ready to have this crank installed. So also on the transmission side, I replaced a couple of the gears that were missing teeth. I replaced a missing washer, and and then I replaced that kickstart stopper with one that I had already. And then what I need to do to finish it off is to put oil in there. Reminder to me, put oil in there. And I've got some brake pads, brake shoes coming on the way eventually, whenever the post office decides to work. And then I've just got the stock intake on there for now. Not really sure where this is going to go from here. It's set around in parts for a week or two, which drove me crazy because when things are disassembled and spread out in a bunch of different parts, things go missing. And then see, is it right over here? What did I do with that thing? I know it's here somewhere. Don't make me shut this off and look for it, but I'm going to have to do that. Hold on, I got to show you this. So for years, my method of removing 40-year-old base gaskets from the cylinder jug was to use a razor blade and sandpaper. And the problem with that is it takes forever and it's hard on your hands. It really beats up your hands because it takes forever to do that. So I'm removing the 40-year-old base gasket from that cylinder there yesterday, and I'm thinking, man, there has got to be a better way. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, what do I got here? Because anymore in life, before I run out and buy something, I'm of the opinion that I probably already have what I need somewhere here. And you know what? 9 times out of 10, that's the case. And I already had this little device, which is a drill bit attachment. It's a wire brush attachment for your drill bit. And this actually did, now of course I'd scraped a lot of it off with a razor blade already, but this actually did a really good job of removing the base gasket. And a lot of people have suggested other things as well. This is just what I had on hand. It's like a $4 or $5 drill bit attachment. If you already have a drill, this is a great thing to have for removing base gaskets. Now, if the base gasket is stuck to the aluminum case halves, you might want to be careful with this. I haven't tried it on aluminum yet, but it might be a little too rough. But as far as the cylinder, that works great. And the cylinder head is aluminum. The jug is iron. So it might be a little rough on the cylinder head if you use this to, like, for example, clean the carbon out of it or something like that. But you could probably get a brass one. I don't know. I might give it a try and just see how it works on that. But that's your tip for the day. Moving on. All right, some of you might be familiar that I was working on front tires for this bike because in the last video I had to hold back when I was riding this thing because the front tire was really wobbly and the rim wasn't really too much out of true, just barely out of true. So something must have been wrong with the old decrepit tire that was on it already. So I was like, man, I want to give them a good show, but I don't want to die in the process if something goes dreadfully wrong with this 40-year-old tire, which is already dreadfully wrong. So this is actually something I already had, but I was trying to go with the Dual Sport Shinko 241 tire to match the back, which is a 16 by 3 inch wide tire. It's out in the shed, and I don't feel like running out there and getting it now, but it was absolutely huge. And a lot of times what I've done in the past is I just get some, what are they called, mending braces from the hardware store. They're just strip. I got one over here. Hold on a minute. I know I got one somewhere. Here it is. So I get these things from Ace Hardware, and I just raise the fender up, and so this part of the fender just goes up here, and I get 4 of them and do it all the way around. And I've done that to put on bigger front tires in the past, but this tire was so big that would not even work. I'll show you something else. The issue is mainly, see how this right on the inside. See how this juts out, this part of the fender? And so what they did was they, you know, it goes in here to make room for the forks and this little rubber seal, and then they bump it out on the inside. Well, even when I raised it up, the bigger tire was still rubbing on that part that bumps out on the inside. So that was the problem. So I don't know what I'm going to do right now. Right now I've got a new tire on. We'll just go with that for now. So people were asking, you know, what's driving that beast? And it's the DR kit with the Puch Honda head. I had to replace the cylinder stud with an M7 stud because I'd stripped out one of the thread holes. So, but now she's just a beast with that DR kit. And then in the video, you might have seen me reaching down here and turning this. And if I turn it counterclockwise, that richens the main jet. If I turn it clockwise, it leans out the main jet. And that's what well, officially, it's one of those Sudco main jets that I just call it the dial-a-jet twist and go and keep going. The dial-a-jet twist and keep going technology, where basically you can adjust the size of the main jet by just twisting, which lets you just keep going. And then it's got the VM20 carb with the pull-out choke there. I've kind of stretched the main stock throttle cable to its limit. May have to get a new throttle cable one of these days. And I think I've got a carbon fiber reed on there. And you're probably wondering, well, what's going on here? What is this nonsense? We'll get to that in a moment. But before we do, we'll get to this. This is the MLM H95 pipe, which was the only bargain on this whole deal. I bought it off eBay used a while ago, and the reason it was so cheap is because the previous owner had wrecked it. Let me bring you over here, or try to. The previous owner had wrecked it, and it had like flattened out the bottom of the header some, which probably affects its performance, but for, you know, at the time they were $300 or something ridiculous new, and I paid $50 shipped for it, so life is good. We'll just go with that for now. And then this was missing the, so it's got a, this is a Urban Express Deluxe with the electric start, but it's, someone had put on a regular Urban Express battery box, and I've got to fix the, actually these are holding tight, believe it or not. I got to fix those connections to the terminals. But anyways, I'm missing the top half, and actually this battery has plenty of power to drive the electric start, so what do you know? So we're back to the carburetor. So if you've had a DR kit and combined it with a big pipe like this H95 pipe, it is ridiculously loud. I think I first started this up without any air filter at all, and it was like at idle, it was ridiculously loud. So I needed to quiet that down. So I had something on hand, and I know I'll probably get, you know, some comments about it, but that's just the way it goes. This effectively, it does take a, you know, give it your performance takes a hit. However, it does make it tolerable to ride, tolerable to the ears. So it's still loud, but it's a lot better. So I'll show you that. So I need to cut this down because that tube, which is just a radiator hose from the carb to that lawn tractor air box, is way too long. But I was just in a hurry to get it together to ride it. So I'll cut that down probably 6 inches maybe like right here, and move everything, move that all down, down that way. So it won't be so long. Although, anyways, so that air lawn tractor air box has a huge filter in it. This cartridge filter, and that combined with the radiator hose in the box really muffles and contains the noise, because all right, I'll snap that on later. So anyways, a lot of sound comes out of the intake and the carburetor, not just the exhaust. So one way to deal with the noise is to deal with this half of the equation and muffle the sound coming out of the intake and the carburetor. And although not aesthetically pleasing, it's not too terrible, but it does a great job, a really good job of quieting this down. I wouldn't say library quiet, but still pretty darn quiet. So I'll mess with it some more and work on the aesthetics. Although, you know, that doesn't look too bad. But anyways, one more thing. This video has probably gotten too long already, but let's see, how's this holding up? Not bad. You know, I got some questionable, or people questioning this tire choice. And I was a little afraid at first that, you know, the knobby-ish tires would be, you know, kind of bumpy to ride on the road, but they were not at all. And this is a huge 14-inch tire, and the downside is it's heavier than your standard stock 14-inch tire. The upsides, however, are numerous. Number one, you know, the bigger the tire you have, the more shock absorption you have. Number two, you know, a taller tire has more potential for top speed. The traction seems fine on the road. I was a little worried about the traction too. I don't ride generally when it's wet out, so I don't know how it would do when it's wet, but on the ride it was great. Didn't have any problems at all. And I kind of wonder how it affects braking. If you have more tread on the road, I would think your braking would be better, but most of your braking's from the front tire anyway, so maybe not a big deal there. And then aesthetically, I just think these are really nice looking tires. So I am happy with this purchase of the Schenko 241 dual sport tire for the rear, and we're going to rock it. So there you have it. This thing is just an absolute blast to ride. Got to make some changes in the variator. If you listen to the video, maybe I won't throw in a clip here, but if you listen to that last video where I was riding around, the Urban Express has, it almost acts like a 2-speed because there's like a shift, you know, like a gear shift, where because of how the rear pulley is set up, I guess I'll have to show that to explain it better. I have in the past, but anyways, this thing just kind of goes right through that shift like it's not even there, like it's a true CVT transmission where you wouldn't feel any shift at all, which means I'm variating way too fast, which means there's too much weight in the variator, even though there's just 29 grams. I guess what would it be, force equals mass times acceleration, and can we even pull that into play there? So you know, the RPMs are so much greater from this engine that it can still throw out that light amount of weight pretty quick. So I needed to go lighter on the variator weights or go with a thicker slash longer belt to slow down that variation. And still, it's kind of fun the way it was. So there you go. There's a little update for you Urban Express fans out there and Noped fans in general. Hopefully I get to take it for a ride soon. Today was too cold again, but tomorrow looks better.